Well, after this episode, it seems like the cardinal rule of Hinamizawa is, don't mess with RIKA. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Shaggy's week-by-week exploration of Higurashi Go, the anime that encourages you to not break any taboos, especially when it comes to religious figures in small towns. Episode 7 was quite an info dump. We got told in depth about the supposed history of Hinamizawa and its man-eating ways, and learned some interesting things about the Sonozaki family. We also saw that Keiichi really buckles under pressure. It's like, come on man, you might be murdered or disappeared forever. What's the big deal? But no doubt the biggest thing we learned concerned RIKA and her knowledge of... No, I'm not gonna rush it. Let's just take it piece by piece. We'll get there when we get there. We begin inside the Furude Shrine storehouse, the place Shion dragged Keiichi to last episode. Those two, along with Takano, see a large golden statue of Oyashiro-sama, surrounded by tools that, as Keiichi puts it, look more like they'd be used for construction than religious rituals. But Takano explains to him how wrong, but right, he is, by telling him an old story. Long ago, Hinamizawa used to be called Onigafuchi, the Demon's Abyss, because of a swamp there that was so deep it was rumored to go all the way to hell. One day, demons came out of the swamp and attacked and killed the villagers. Unable to leave, the villagers gave up hope, but then Oyashiro-sama appeared. Unwilling to attack the kind and benevolent being, the demons surrendered to him, and Oyashiro gave the demons human forms so they could coexist with the villagers, in peace. Over generations, the demons in human form reproduced with the humans, creating people with mixed blood. They lived in secrecy and seclusion, understandably so. But the demons were man-eaters, and their blood carried with it that urge, so the people of Onigafuchi started demoning away people from other villages. This is a term we've heard previously in the first arc, and it means, as Takano puts it, to kidnap someone to use them as a sacrifice. And the kind god, Oyashiro-sama, not only knew about this practice, but the villagers would only demon away those that Oyashiro had picked. So Oyashiro seems like a mixed bag, kind to the demons and villagers, but uncaring about those outside the village. You better watch out, Keiichi. You may live in Hinamizawa now, but you're still technically an outsider. Takano then describes that the Watanagashi, or Cotton Drifting Festival, was actually the Entrail Drifting Festival, with Wata being able to mean either cotton or guts. In the past, the festival was a night when the villagers hunted people, killed them, and ate their flesh. So the tools in the storehouse, as well as the ritual hoe RIKA used for her dance, originally were used to slaughter people, to cut them up and apart and prepare them. How to serve humans indeed. Keiichi flips out at all these stories, and Takano teases him, saying she thought he'd like them since he's a boy. First, that's sexist. Men don't have a monopoly on scary stuff, women can love it too. And just because someone's a guy, that doesn't mean he has to like or dislike something. Second, shut the hell up, Takano. The poor boy's just heard that his idyllic country home, the place he loves, has an incredibly dark history that makes him question how safe this town really is. It's normal to be freaked out in that situation. Moving on. Shion touches the statue of Oyashiro-sama, and the damn head comes off. Tomitake comes in because of the noise, and he confirms that she didn't break it. The head was already broken. Nobody has any ideas how that happened, they just put the head back on and forget about it. Shion and Keiichi then step outside with Tomitake while Takano takes pictures of the inside of the storehouse. That woman has some strange hobbies. Having nearly missed the entire festival, the four decide to head down to the river, albeit separately since Takano clearly wants some alone time with her man, Jiro. Pouty-faced Takano is an amusing sight, especially since it's from a woman that was scaring the pants off of everyone just a little bit ago. Shion and Keiichi decide to split up too, so Mion doesn't get jealous of Shion hogging her man all night. And so no one knows what they did. After all, Oyashiro may curse them for going into the storehouse, Shion says. It's a joke. Right, just a joke. Kichi then runs into Mion, Reina, and Rika, getting a flying hug from Rika that sends him to the ground. She asks if he saw her dance, and he lies and says he did, but he gives himself away by adding too much information. A rookie mistake. He says that she did perfectly, but it seems like she actually did mess up at some point, so she knows he's lying, which bums her out. Bad Keiichi, you made Rika sad. Bad boy. Mion pulls Keiichi away from the others and asks him if he ran into Shion that night. He lies and says that he might have seen her, but they look similar. Shion points out that they wear different clothes so they don't seem too similar, but whatever. Then she asks if he saw Tomitake and Takano, and he again lies and says that he didn't. I know he's trying to cover for what the four of them did now, but still, he should be honest with Mion at least. Back home, Keiichi gets stopped by Detective Oishi, who just happened to be in the area. Odd how cops always just happen to be places, right? He chats with Keiichi and drops the info that the Sonozaki family happens to be a huge Yakuza family that controls the area, with Mion's dad in charge, and Mion next in line. She could kill someone in the middle of the street, he says, and someone would cover it up for her. Keiichi really doesn't like Oishi implying that Mion would kill someone, and he lets the detective know it. But it was just an example, Oishi says. Yeah, whatever. He then asks Keiichi if he saw Tomitake and Takano that night. Lacking an answer, Oishi answers for him. You did see the two of them tonight. Both them, you, and Sonozaki Shion had a grand old time at the stone steps. With that ominous warning, because that was a warning, Oishi leaves. Damn, the night of the Cotton Drifting Festival isn't even over, and Keiichi is getting hounded about Tomitake and Takano. And based on how those two did disappear in the last arc, things don't bode well for anybody that went into that storehouse. Keiichi then gets a phone call from Shion, or a girl that calls herself Shion. From the moment she asked if her sister believed Keiichi's story, I had a feeling that the phone call was actually from Mion, trying to get information out of Keiichi by pretending to be Shion. And nothing said in the conversation contradicts that, though nothing confirms it either. It's just a paranoid hunch I have. Shion asks if Keiichi saw Tomitake or Takano after they split up, and Keiichi gets pissed. It's the third time he's been asked that, and in just a few hours. But, Shion explains, it's because those two have disappeared. According to the police, which the Sonozaki family watches closely, because they're Yakuza. Duh. The pair stole a truck from the festival parking lot and hightailed it out of there, presumably because they felt their lives were in danger. Because they knew they'd be targeted for Oyashiro-sama's curse, which, if Takano is right, isn't a curse carried out by a god, but is murder inflicted by the villagers in the name of Oyashiro. Keiichi loses his shit and starts ranting at Shion. This is your fault. How are you going to fix this? That sort of thing. But she hangs up on him. Now, that's conducive to a good night's sleep, right? The next day, Keiichi meets up with Reina and Mion on the way to school, and it turns out that Mion also didn't get much sleep the previous night. But her reasoning is different. It turns out that the mayor of Hinamizawa went missing, so she was presumably helping with the search. At school, Chie-sensei tells everyone not to walk around alone, to always be with a friend, because the mayor has presumably been kidnapped. And some students question if the mayor was demoned away, proving that the rumors of Oyashiro-sama's curse are widespread in the village, if even the children know about it. During recess, Keiichi sits by himself, confused at what's happened. Why is the mayor missing when he and Shion are the ones that should be cursed? Rika comes to comfort him, and he explains how he and the others went into the storehouse. But with kitties! So now, 2 of the kitties are missing, he says. What should the other kitties do? Rika laughs at him and his story, but not in her usual way. This is a disturbing adult laugh, one that admonishes him for telling her the truth in such a silly way. And her eyes, when she looks at him, are filled with terrible knowledge and a complete lack of concern. "It's all over," she says. "This year's curse, this world, you, me, we're all finished." She tells Keiichi that he should have just watched her dance, that he shouldn't have gone where he knew not to go. And then she says that she's surprised that Tomitake's body hasn't been found yet, but they, I'm assuming Tomitake and Takano, are both already dead. But Shion should still be alive? And finally, Rika says that she has no idea how well things will go for Keiichi. A ball comes over and Sadako comes to collect it, and she invites Keiichi to play with them. Looking at Rika, Keiichi sees that she's back to her usual self, seeming like the child she supposedly is. She tells him that he should go play with them, and he just stares at her. And that's the episode. And like I said at the start, this last scene is perhaps the most important of the episode. It's certainly the most interesting and the most confusing. It seems safe to say now that this is a time loop situation, with Rika being the nexus, or the person that keeps repeating the loop. Or maybe she's just the person that remembers everything, and it keeps going despite her. She implies that she knows everything that's happening, even mentioning things that we don't know anything about. Tomitake's body. So, he was killed? He and Takano were the ones afflicted by the curse then. But what about the mayor? And what's going on with Shion if she should still be alive? She's going to die? Now, there is nothing to confirm that Rika is reliving this time over and over again, but it seems like a safe bet. However, an important thing to remember is that during the first arc, Keiichi got flashes of what seemed to be an earlier loop. He imagined himself beating his friends to death with a baseball bat. Did that happen during a previous period of time, or was it just a creation of his imagination? If it was the former, then does that mean that anybody could potentially remember things from these time loops? Could Mion or Reina get similar flashes? Or could there even be a person that, as seems to be the case with Rika, remembers everything, each time the world resets, and we simply haven't learned about it yet? In other words, is Rika a special entity, or is she not unique? Whatever it all means, the mystery continues in episode 8, part 4 of the Cotton Deceiving chapter. Will that be the end of the arc, or will it continue on after? Will it offer more answers, or just deliver more questions? I can't wait to find out. Once again, thank you for watching. Please feel free to discuss this episode in the comments below, and give this video a like and a share if you enjoyed it. I've got a lot more videos planned in the future, focusing on horror manga and Gundam mostly. Quite a pairing, I know. So subscribe if you're interested in either of those. I'm on Twitter, at the Twitter handle that's the same as my YouTube handle, and they're both my handles. So, you know. Now, before I go, I want to say one last thing. Don't be afraid to open up to your friends. Yes, they might try to murder you, and yes, they might even lock you in a cage, or tear off your fingernails. But deep down, they care about you, and they want to help. Even if they sometimes take jokes too far. Goodbye!